is under house arrest and he will be investigated.
And the US called on South Sudan President Salva Kiir to demonstrate his commitment to peace. Guinea's ruling junta pardons former military leader Musa Dadis Camara less than a year into a 20-year sentence for crimes against humanity linked to one of the country's worst massacres. A Congolese artist blends sport history and cultural commentary that he hopes speaks to both Congo's past glory and its struggle to reclaim lost heritage. World of Africa at these times on WION. World is one.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I'm your host Ladi Francis, coming to you with a new episode of WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region. Israel has resumed its offense on Gaza. It has been 2 weeks since that. But in the recent days, it looks like the Israeli forces are acting with no restraint at all. And in the middle of this chaos, Netanyahu's close aides are caught in a scandal. We tell you more about all this, but first, let us take a quick look at what's making the headlines across the region. There is a storm in the making in West Asia. The US has been caught up in a fierce battle with Yemen's Houthis. Iran is being warned about acquiring nukes, but on the other side, Tehran says that the US troops are sitting in a glass house. This after the United States has put its troops at a striking distance from Iran. And in the middle of all that, the Gulf nations have distanced themselves from the issue. What will happen next? Experts are saying that a strike or a confrontation between the two, the US and Iran, has now become inevitable. We tell you more.
Tensions over Iran's nuclear program have reached a point where the United States is threatening military action against the Islamic Republic. US President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Iran: sign a nuclear deal or face bombing, the likes of which they have never seen before. Trump's threat isn't just a rhetoric. The US has moved stealth B-2 bombers to Diego Garcia, a strategic base in the Indian Ocean capable of launching precision strikes on Iran's underground nuclear facilities. In these satellite images, 6 B-2 bombers can be seen. That's 30% of the US Air Force's stealth bomber fleet. These bombers can carry 70,000 kg of munitions designed to penetrate reinforced targets. the Carl Vinson aircraft carrier is joining USS Harry S. Truman in West Asia, further amplifying American presence in the region. Pentagon officials assert that these deployments aim to deter aggression and protect regional stability. Iran remains resolute despite mounting pressure. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's advisor says if Washington continues to exert pressure and sanctions on Iran, then a nuclear war might be inevitable.
If you do something wrong in the Iranian nuclear issue, you will force Iran to move towards that because it has to defend itself.
World leaders, including those of China and Russia, are urging US to restart nuclear diplomacy talks.
Use of military force by Iran's adversaries in the context of the settlement of Iran's nuclear issue is illegal and unacceptable.
The United States should show political sincerity and return to the talks as soon as possible. Sanctions, pressure, and coercion will lead to nowhere. The Iranian nuclear issue has once again come to a critical crossroads. There is a risk of escalation.
Added to the stakes is the direct confrontation between US and Yemen's Houthi group. Washington has vowed to eliminate the Houthi group in its near-daily strikes. The Houthis have also responded by attacking US Reaper drone and setting its sights on every vessel that passes through the Red Sea. West Asian countries, including Saudi and UAE, have reportedly refused Washington to use their air bases. The Gulf nations separating themselves from the US-Iran rivalry only states the stakes are higher than ever, and West Asia remains a powder keg waiting for a spark.
Once again, the Israelis are bombing Gaza non-stop. Besides the offense that the Israeli soldiers are carrying on, besides the strikes, now the plan is to form a new corridor. A corridor that cuts Rafah city from the rest of Gaza. And in the meanwhile, Benjamin Netanyahu has been defying the ICC arrest warrant by visiting Hungary. We tell you more about what's happening in Palestine in the following report.
Palestinians gathered around Beit Lahia, scrambling for a loaf of bread and bowls of lentil soup.
We are going to die of hunger. People will start eating each other. There will be crimes and we will kill one another over a loaf of bread or a plate of food. As you can see, even at the charity kitchen, fights break out as people rush to get bread or a plate of food. We hope this situation changes soon.
Israel has resumed its bombardment in Gaza. Only this time around, there are little to no constraints in its operations. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has ordered troops to dissect the Palestinian enclave. In his latest announcement, the Prime Minister said Israel is establishing a new corridor in Gaza to increase the pressure on Hamas. Netanyahu described the new axis as the Morag Corridor, using the name of a Jewish settlement that once stood between Rafah and Khan Yunis, suggesting it would be a second Philadelphia corridor which has been under Israeli control since last May.
Last night in the Gaza Strip, we switched gears. The IDF is seizing territory, striking the terrorists, and destroying the infrastructure. We are also doing something else. We are seizing the Morag Corridor. This will be the second Philadelphia, an additional Philadelphia corridor, because we are now dividing the Strip and increasing the pressure step by step so that they will give us our hostages. And as long as they do not give them to us, the pressure will increase until they do. We are determined to achieve the objectives of the war, and we are acting relentlessly and with a clear line and a clear mission.
With nowhere else to go, thousands of Palestinians have evacuated Rafah city.
We could barely believe that we had arrived back in Rafah. We left Rafah under destruction, under bombardment, under missiles, under tanks. We left. It is a complete occupation of Rafah and an entire displacement of its residents. We don't know where are we going.
Israelis have condemned Netanyahu's plan to expand operations in Gaza, saying further military action will only jeopardize the lives of 24 hostages who are believed to be alive.
I think that military force can only go so far, and at some point we have to use diplomacy. And I think that we must use diplomacy with the Qataris that have influence over Hamas, with the Egyptians that have influence over Hamas, and also within Israel. We have to know our boundaries.
Protests against Netanyahu's government are refusing to die down. Anger over the Israeli Prime Minister's decision to fire the Shin Bet chief is far from dissipating.
He wants to completely destroy our democracy.
Benjamin Netanyahu's office is once again ensnared in scandal after police arrested 2 of his close aides linked to the Qatargate probe. The investigation is just the latest scandal to royal Netanyahu, who is the subject of a long-running corruption trial. Critics say Netanyahu, the country's longest-serving prime minister, has worked in recent years to undermine Israel's state institutions. Most recently, they point to his attempt to dismiss the head of Israel's domestic security agency, which is also investigating his office's alleged links to Qatar. The Israeli Prime Minister calls the Qatargate probe a bluff. Benjamin Netanyahu is clear on his part that his operation in Gaza is not ending anytime soon. With new evacuation orders and complete blockade of Gaza, the fate of hostages and Palestinians hangs in the balance. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Now, despite a ceasefire agreement, Israel didn't stop bombing Lebanon for the past months. But in the recent weeks, it has also been bombing and striking cities bustling with life. Beirut, southern suburb of Beirut, Saida, and other places in Lebanon. This besides southern Lebanese towns and border villages. Now, this has raised the question once again, will Hezbollah and the Israeli forces find themselves in a new confrontation soon? We ask this question and answer it in this report.
Last week, Israel targeted the heart of Lebanon for the first time since a fragile truce took effect in November. Residents fled as a building was flattened in the Hadath neighborhood in Beirut's southern suburbs. Israel carried out 4 back-to-back strikes in the neighborhood. A ceasefire deal requires Israel to withdraw its troops from southern Lebanon, but it has failed to withdraw soldiers from 5 locations in Lebanon. Israel claimed it killed the commander of Hamas group in a pre-dawn strike in the Lebanese port city of Sidon. The strike also killed commander's daughter and son. Israel says it eliminated a real and imminent threat to its soil.
Early this morning, or very early this morning, IDF fighter jets struck a Hezbollah terrorist in Beirut. He had recently been directing Hamas terrorists and assisting them in an attempt to carry out a major imminent attack against Israeli civilians. The terrorist posed a real and immediate threat, what we called ticking bomb. Therefore, we had to eliminate the threat. Israel will continue to remove any threat to our citizens.
Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said the attack was a clear violation on Israel's part. Lebanese Health Ministry said the attack on a residential area killed 3 people.
We were sleeping at night, like everyone else, when we were jolted awake by what can only be described as extraordinary terror. My daughter ran toward me, calling for me, asking what was happening. I told her it might be a sonic boom, because as you know, you can't really tell children that there was a strike. We went down to the street, where people and children were also screaming.
Hezbollah, that has agreed to withdraw from the Litani River, has urged the Lebanese government to act against Israel.
The Lebanese state must act. It is still possible to resolve the situation through political and diplomatic means, but we cannot accept a new equation in which Israel attacks Lebanon and runs loose whenever it wants while we sit and watch. There is a limit to everything.
Israel continues to place its troops at what it calls 5 strategic locations in Lebanon. With Lebanon facing near daily strikes, it seems unlikely that Hezbollah, that calls itself a resistance group against Israeli occupation, will remain confined to the sidelines.
Syria has a new government, but does it really? A new president, a self-appointed president, Ahmad al-Shara, aka Abu Muhammad al-Julani, has become the leader of the nation. But in the new government, ministries have been given to his close aides. And now, Christians, Alawites, and other sects and other parts of Syria are protesting, and they are saying, whatever did it change? We tell you more about Syria in this report.
Syria's new government is facing a daunting challenge of gaining public trust. Its new 23-member cabinet has no prime minister. What is more, that it is dominated by interim President Ahmed al-Shara's inner circle. The transitional government was announced on Saturday, 3 months after Shara's Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or the HTS group, toppled the Bashar al-Assad regime. The new government was formed after a constitutional declaration that was signed into force earlier this month. But experts have warned the new constitution concentrates power in Shara's hands and does not include enough protections for minorities. A case in point is al-Shara's choice for the post of top cleric. Assad had eliminated the Mufti's post in 2024. The new regime has appointed Osama al-Rifai, Assad's known rival as Syria's Mufti or the top cleric. Born in 1944, Rifai publicly expressed opposition to Assad after anti-government protests broke out in 2011. Reflecting on the demographic makeup of Syria, most of the members are Sunni Muslim. Reports suggest key portfolios have been given to former brothers in arms who were already part of the Salvation government that ran Idlib province in Syria's northwest, the rebel bastion. These include Defense Minister Murhaf Abu Kasra, who was a rebel commander who led the offensive that overthrew Assad. Anas Kadhab, who has been sanctioned by the United Nations, was appointed Interior Minister after serving as intelligence chief in a caretaker capacity. The Justice Ministry went to Mazar al-Wais, who was also part of Idlib rebel government. Amid international calls for an inclusive transition, the new government has 4 ministers from minority groups in Syria: a Christian, a Druze, a Kurd and an Alawite, none of whom were handed key portfolios. The autonomous Kurdish-led administration in northwestern Syria has rejected the legitimacy of the new government, saying it does not reflect the country's diversity. Time and again, Syria's al-Shara has promised to unite all Syrians. However, in his public address, Shara acknowledged that the new government cannot satisfy everyone.
Change and improvement are our goal, and building is our goal. We can't satisfy everyone. Any steps we take will not reach consensus. This is normal.
With the constitution focused on Islamic jurisprudence and its close aides in top positions and mass killings in the country, Syrian minorities are worried that al-Shura might backtrack on his promises.
We spoke about the Gulf, we spoke about Iran, Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine, and now let's speak about the northernmost part of West Asia, Turkey. The question now is Turkey on the brink of a civil war? Thousands are still protesting in Ankara against the arrest of Istanbul's mayor. And this is not the first time that protests have erupted against Recep Tayyip Erdogan in the country. But why is it very essential to know more about Turkey now? Listen in.
Turkey's political protests have entered a new phase. People are now boycotting shopping in a unique reaction to the arrest of Istanbul Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu. In downtown Ankara, hundreds of opposition supporters marked a day of no expenditure.
So we are not spending money, but we are not holding back from socializing either. Everyone has made their cake, pastry, tea, coffee, and came. We are sharing. I think it's something that needs to be done every week. This is the only way we can make our voices heard, because we're still ignored. Interestingly, we're ignored. But somehow they have to realize that we exist too.
The Republican People's Party called for a boycott of goods and services from companies with perceived ties to President Erdogan's government. İmamoğlu was detained 2 weeks ago. A new generation of young Turks is at the forefront of the mass protests against the arrest. They are demanding a change in a country they see as increasingly authoritarian. The CHP, rights groups, and some Western powers have all called the case against İmamoğlu a politicized effort to eliminate a potential electoral threat to Erdogan. Turkey's main opposition shared an AI-generated video of the mayor arrested for corruption and alleged terror links.
I cannot be by your side because I am a captive in Silivri right now, but my heart, my soul is with you. As a result of the process that began on the day of March 23rd, with the mutual will and support of 15.5 million of our citizens, I officially became the presidential candidate with the decision of the official boards of our party.
Whether or not İmamoğlu will be allowed to contest elections remains unclear. Over the years, Erdogan has faced many challenges to his rule. For the older generations, the anti-government protests are a reminder of the uprising against Erdogan himself almost 12 years ago. The protests began as a reaction to plans to demolish Gezi Park in Istanbul. However, it quickly morphed into a broader anti-government movement. Turkey also faced another wave of demonstrations in 2014, when Erdogan's government was rocked by a massive corruption probe. The protests were marked by people handing out fake dollars with Erdogan's photo on them. Just 2 years after the corruption probe, a faction within the Turkish military attempted to overthrow President Erdogan's government. The coup plotters clashed with pro-government forces and citizens, leading to violence and chaos. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has been able to thwart all attempts to dismantle his administration. But the pressing question is, with a formidable political opponent against him this time, will Erdogan be able to overcome yet another public challenge?
Ramadan has ended, and in the past week, people across West Asia have celebrated Eid al-Fitr. Now, most of the parts of West Asia haven't really celebrated after the bloodshed and the wars. But in the Gulf, in Iran and other places, different celebrations took place. Take a look.
We are here for Eid al-Fitr. We are here to celebrate the rituals of God amid the destruction and the sounds of cannons. Our circumstances are difficult, but we insisted to come and pray because it is one of God's rituals.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am your host, Ghadi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
This week on Tech It Out, we show you how drones are helping fight the battle against wildfires. We also introduce you to Rome's first robotic employee.
I'm here to help.
And we tell you about the latest fitness innovation. This and more on WION World is One at these times.
Violence in South Sudan escalates. The country's first Vice President, Riek Machar, is accused of stirring rebellion.
The Vice President is under house arrest and he will be investigated.
And the US calls on South Sudan President Salva Kiir to demonstrate his commitment to peace. Guinea's ruling junta pardons former military leader Musa Dadis Camara less than a year into a 20-year sentence for crimes against humanity linked to one of the country's worst massacres. A Congolese artist blends sport history and cultural commentary that he hopes speaks to both Congo's past glory and its struggle to reclaim lost heritage. World of Africa at these times on WION. World is One.
YO1 Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to YO1 Health Resort. Make your reservation at yo1.com.
Imagine a world where owning your dream asset is just a click away, where wealth is no longer exclusive to the few. Tokenization, the game changer, transforming assets into digital opportunities. A revolutionary technology opening doors to a new era of investment. Don't miss Token Money Magnet, a bold initiative by Cult Foundation. Only on WION World is One.
and welcome. You're watching Race to Power. My name is Mohammed Saleh, and on the show today, South Korea's Constitutional Court has upheld Yoon Suk Yeol's impeachment, sparking a wave of mixed reactions